Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today we're jumping into some really perplexing cases, real unsolved mysteries.
Yeah, these aren't just headlines. They're stories with twists you just don't see coming.
Some of them really defy logic, others, well, they leave you with way more questions than answers. Our goal is to pull out the key details, help you understand what makes these particular cases so fascinating.
Absolutely. And they're more than just, thrilling stories. They really give us a window into human psychology, the limits of investigation.
And just the power of the unknown, right?
Exactly. They make you question things.
Okay, let's get into it. We're starting with a really bizarre one. A story of betrayal, a very unconventional sting operation, and a wife who, well, you'll see. Picture this. It's 2009, Houston. Ramon Souza, he's a successful former pro boxer. Seems like he has everything. Thriving gym, money, and he's engaged to Lulu Durantes. He felt like she treated him like a king, Always supportive, coffee, breakfast.
His friends saw him as a natural husband type, too. From the outside, Lulu really seemed like the model partner. Kind, generous, loving.
But there's always a but, isn't there?
There is. Ramon's daughter, Mia, she saw something else entirely. She felt Lulu had this, mask.
A mask.
Yeah, that underneath Lulu was cold, calculating, just interested in money. Mia especially didn't like how Lulu reacted when Ramon's spent money on his own kids. She thought it should all go to her and her children.
Wow, that must have caused friction.
Oh, it did. A big rift between Ramon and Mia, sadly.
And here's a really ominous detail right from the wedding. After they said their vows, Lulu's own mother whispers to Ramon,
Get this.
"Now she's your trouble."
Chilling.
Yeah.
But he just dismissed it.
Yeah, he was happy, trusted Lulu. But looking back, wow.
So despite maybe some underlying stuff, the business booms. By 2010, they opened a second gym.
And Lulu's handling the books for both.
Right, and they're making serious money, like $20,000 profit a month.
But even with all that cash coming in, the relationship starts to go south. Lulu starts saying Ramon is lazy.
And he starts suspecting she's skimming profits.
Exactly, and he confirms it when he finds out she's been stealing money to pay for a divorce lawyer.
And she filed for divorce, making these horrible, baseless claims he was violent.
Which he says were completely false. And the truly mind-boggling part.
They're still living together.
Yes. Separate floors, but same house. Can you imagine living like that with someone actively trying to destroy you?
It's hard to comprehend.
Okay, but here's where it takes an even crazier turn. They had this mutual friend, Mundo, and Mundo's at the gym, and he overhears Lulu talking to her daughter in the office.
What did he hear?
He hears Lulu talking about hiring a hitman, a contact from one of the gym customers, supposedly from Mexico, someone who chops people up for money.
Oh my God.
To do what?
To make Ramon disappear so she could get everything, the gyms, the house, his assets, his life insurance.
Wow. Okay, so what does Mundo do? That's incredibly dangerous information. His quick thinking probably saved Ramon's life. Instead of just, warning Ramon and hoping for the best, he approaches Lulu. Directly. And he offers to connect her with his guy. A reliable, professional, trustworthy assassin he supposedly knows.
He's setting up his own sting. That's incredibly risky.
Totally. And the police, at first they couldn't do much. They needed solid proof.
Right. Hearsay isn't enough.
So Mundo and Ramon, they cook up their own plan. They get burner phones.
Disposable phones.
And they start texting each other. Mundo pretending to be himself. Ramon pretending to be the hitman.
Crafting fake messages?
Exactly. Mundo shows these texts to Lulu to convince her this killer is for real.
And Ramon has to live with this. Playing dumb while she's in the same house.
Yep. Sleeping with a pistol under his pillow. Just imagine the fear, the constant stress.
Unbelievable. So what was the turning point for the police?
Mundo managed to secretly record Lulu, talking about her plan, her intent to have Ramon killed.
The recording. That's the hard evidence they needed.
Bingo! Now the authorities could officially get involved, set up a proper sting.
So they arrange a meet.
They do. July 20th, 2015. Lulu drives to an empty parking lot to meet an undercover detective posing as the hitman.
And she brings
$500 cash as a down payment. And get this, Ramon's own watches and jewelry.
She's using his stuff to pay for his own murder.
Essentially, yeah. Paying for his own execution. The sheer nerve is just staggering.
Okay, so how do they make the hit look real?
This part is amazing. For an airtight case, the detectives literally watched YouTube makeup tutorials.
You're kidding? You too?
Not kidding. To learn how to make Ramon look convincingly dead, they put makeup on him, had him lie in a shallow ditch like a grave.
With, like, fake wounds?
A fake bullet hole in his head, yeah. They took photos.
Wow. And Ramon had to play along.
He had to stay hidden for 3 whole days, couldn't even contact his family, so Lulu would be absolutely convinced he was dead.
The mental strength that must have taken. Waiting.
Then comes the climax, July 23rd. Lulu meets the undercover agent again, expecting confirmation.
And they show her the photo.
They show her the photo of dead Ramon and her reaction.
What did she do?
She laughed.
Laughed. No remorse. No shock.
None. Just laughter. She even talked about how Ramon supposedly fought back against the hitman and then said, chillingly, well, he won't wake up anymore, and left again.
That's ice cold. Just zero empathy. It really shows how some people can completely mask their true nature.
Until they think they've gotten away with it.
Precisely.
So the next morning, the police show up at the house for a wellness check on Ramon. Lulu plays dumb at first.
Until the penny drops.
Until she realizes she's been completely played.
With that kind of evidence, the recording, the meeting, her reaction to the photo, she didn't have much choice, did she?
Not really. She took a 20-year plea deal.
And had to give up her share of the assets.
Yep, her share of the gym and the house went back to Ramon, the man she tried to kill.
And Ramon. How did this affect him long term?
Well, the good news is he repaired his relationship with his daughter, Mia, but sources say, understandably, he probably lost his ability to really trust a romantic partner again.
A profound cost for surviving such an unbelievable betrayal.
Okay, from that truly shocking story, we're shifting gears to a very different kind of puzzle. A vanishing act.
Where someone just seems to disappear into thin air.
Exactly. Let's talk about Brian Schaefer. It's 2006. He's 27, a promising med student at Ohio State.
Had a lot going for him. Good future, loving girlfriend, Alexis Wagner.
He was planning to propose to her. He also loved music, even wrote about wanting to be a musician on MySpace.
Yeah, but it's important to add, there was recent tragedy in his life too. His mother had passed away just that March from myelodysplasia.
That must have been incredibly tough.
Absolutely, it hit him hard.
Yeah.
But by all accounts, he seemed to be coping, and he was really looking forward to a spring break trip to Miami with Alexis.
So, March 31st, 2006, the night he disappears, he has dinner with his dad, Randy. Then he heads out to a bar called the Ugly Tuna Saloona in Columbus with his friend Clint Florence. Brian calls his girlfriend Alexis around 10 p.m. That's the last time she ever spoke to him.
Okay, so they're at the bar. What happens next?
This is where the CCTV footage becomes absolutely critical and completely baffling. Brian, Clint, and another friend, Meredith Reed, they go into the Ugly Tuna around 1:15 a.m.
Right.
At 1:57 a.m., the camera catches Brian standing outside the bar entrance chatting, maybe flirting a bit with a woman named Brighton Zacco.
Okay, so he stepped outside for a moment.
Then, crucially, the footage appears to show him walk back into the bar entrance area.
Appears to.
Yeah, it seems clear he goes back inside. But here's the thing.
Let me guess. The cameras never show him leaving again.
Never. The bar closes at 2 a.m. The cameras show everyone else leaving. Clint, Meredith, everyone. But not Brian.
And there were cameras outside too. Street cameras.
Yeah, and none of them caught him either. It's like he walked into the bar and just evaporated.
It's physically impossible.
Yeah.
How does someone just vanish from inside a monitored building?
Exactly. The search was massive. Hospitals, shelters, they even checked the sewers. Sniffer dogs, flyers everywhere. A big reward offer.
Any leads at all? Sightings?
There were reported sightings in different states, even one in Sweden, bizarrely. But they all checked out as false. Just dead ends.
The hope and despair cycle for the family must have been agonizing.
Unimaginable. And then there were these other strange details.
Like what?
His apartment got burgled sometime after he vanished, but police determined it was totally unrelated, just random bad luck.
Weird timing, though.
Yeah, and Eddie Vedder from Pearl Jam even made an appeal for information at a concert. Shows how much the case resonated.
Any other oddities?
Aye.
Psychics? Strange clues.
Oh, yeah. A psychic told Brian's dad, Randy, that Brian's body was in the Olentangy River.
Did he search?
He did. Randy searched that river himself frantically, almost drowned doing it, found absolutely nothing.
Heartbreaking. What about his phone? Any activity?
This is also strange. Alexis, his girlfriend, kept calling his phone, hoping. Months later, one night, it actually rang. A few times, then disconnected.
Really? Did they trace it?
The phone company just called it a cellular network glitch. His phone also pinged once off a tower in Hilliard, which is like 14 miles away. Another potential glitch, or who knows?
But no actual usage. Texts, calls, data.
Nothing. His phone, his credit cards, totally inactive since that night.
Which usually points away from someone just running off.
Right. So theories started flying around. What could possibly explain this? First, foul play.
Killed inside the bar. Maybe by staff or someone else there. Did they look into the bar owners or employees?
They did. Some people speculated maybe someone involved with the bar did something and tampered with the CCTV.
But that seems complicated. Covering up a murder inside a busy bar, manipulating multiple cameras.
Extremely difficult. Would need serious coordination, and someone would likely talk eventually. Seems improbable.
Okay, what other theories?
Then there's the really dark one. The smiley face killers theory.
Ah, yes. The alleged group targeting young, athletic, successful college men. Brian fit that profile, didn't he? Tall, athletic, smart.
He did. And smiley faces were reportedly found near where some other missing young men's bodies were discovered.
But there's no concrete proof this group actually exists, right?
Huh.
Smiley faces are pretty common graffiti. Could just be a coincidence.
True. It's a compelling narrative for some, but lacks hard evidence. It's hard to disprove definitively when there are no answers, though.
It fills a vacuum, but might not reflect reality. Okay, next theory.
Accidental death. There was a construction site nearby. Maybe he left through a service exit, wandered onto the site, fell into a hole.
And got covered up by construction work.
That was the idea. Maybe fell into wet cement or something.
But the construction crew there said that was impossible. They insisted they would absolutely have noticed if someone, a whole body, had fallen into their work area.
Yeah, they were pretty adamant about that, so that theory seems unlikely too.
Which leaves
Voluntary disappearance. Did Brian just decide to walk away from his life? Start over?
It's the theory people often jump to, but it rarely holds water in cases like this. He had strong ties, future plans.
And crucially, he left his car behind. How do you start a new anonymous life without your car, especially vanishing from a place like that?
Exactly. And staying hidden for all these years with his distinct appearance, very, very difficult.
And then, adding tragedy upon tragedy, Brian's father, Randy, who never stopped searching.
What happened then?
He died in 2008, a freak accident. He was clearing tree branches in his yard during a storm, and a branch fell and hit him.
Oh, that's awful, after everything he went through.
And then, to make things even crueler, someone posted a hoax message in his online condolence book.
What did it say?
Something like, "To Dad, love Brian, U.S. Virgin Islands." Just sickening.
Giving false hope like that is just cruel. So, bottom line, we still have no idea what happened to Brian Schaefer.
None. He walked into a bar and vanished. His brother Derek and girlfriend Alexis, they still suspect the friend, Clint Florence, knows more.
Because he refused a lie detector test.
Right. But that's not proof of anything, just suspicion. It remains a complete, baffling mystery. How does someone just disappear like that?
It's profoundly unsettling because it suggests our sense of security, even in monitored places, might be an illusion.
Okay, let's move to our final case. This one involves success, pressure, a violent death, and a really controversial official verdict.
Jonathan Luna.
Jonathan Luna, born 1965, grew up poor in the South Bronx, but really pulled himself up. A true rags to riches story.
Became a successful assistant U.S. attorney in Baltimore by 1999. Had a family. Great career by 2003.
Looked like he had it made, but there was trouble brewing beneath the surface.
Significant trouble. Professionally, he was working a big narcotics case, juggling plea deals, but he was also personally under investigation.
For what?
He was the main suspect in the disappearance of $36,000 in cash evidence from a bank robbery case he'd previously prosecuted.
Wow. That's serious for a prosecution.
Extremely serious. And on top of that, he had his own money problems, like $25,000 in credit card debt, plus another $10,000 in cash withdrawals he couldn't account for.
So immense pressure from multiple angles.
A perfect storm of stress, really.
Okay, set the scene for his last night. Wednesday, December 3rd, 2003. Luna's working late at the courthouse in Baltimore.
Working on those plea deals for the drug case.
Right. Then, after 11 p.m., he gets a phone call. Something urgent. He leaves immediately, so suddenly he forgets his eyeglasses.
Which he needed to drive.
Yeah, and he heads out on what becomes this mysterious 200-mile round trip.
Where did he go? Can they trace him?
Yeah, they trace his electronic footprint. He goes through an I-95 toll booth in Delaware, withdraws $200 cash from an ATM near Newark, Delaware, uses a toll bridge to get onto the Pennsylvania Turnpike, buys gas around 3:20 a.m. in Pennsylvania.
Seems like a normal, if late, drive.
Yeah.
But leaving without glasses is odd.
Very odd. But here's where it gets really strange. Around 4 a.m., he exits the turnpike in Pennsylvania. He pays the toll in cash, doesn't use his Easy Pass transponder.
Why pay cash? Trying to avoid a record.
Maybe. But the toll attendant noticed something chilling. Flecks of blood on the paper ticket Luna handed him.
Blood on the ticket.
Yeah. Later confirmed to be Jonathan Luna's blood. So somewhere between buying gas at 3.20 and exiting the turnpike at 4.0, he got injured. How?
That's a huge question. What happened in that short window?
We don't know. Then, just an hour later, around 5 a.m., his car is found.
Where?
Partially submerged in a shallow stream behind the offices of a drilling company in Denver, Pennsylvania, miles from the turnpike exit.
And Luna?
His body was found nearby, face down in the water, still wearing his suit, his courthouse ID card visible.
Okay, what did the scene suggest? What did the autopsy find?
It suggested violence, a large pool of blood in the backseat of his car, blood smeared on the door, the bonnet.
And his injuries.
He had a head injury, bruises on his chest and neck, and, shockingly, over 30 stab wounds.
30? From what?
Apparently from his own small 3-inch pocket knife, which was found near him.
30 stab wounds from a small knife. But what was the official cause of death?
Drowning. He was found face down in the stream, water in his lungs.
Drowning despite over 30 stab wounds. That sounds complicated.
Exactly. And this is where the official story gets really contested. The local authorities, the Lancaster County Sheriff's Office, and 2 different coroners who examined the scene and the body.
What did they conclude?
They unanimously declared Luna's death a homicide.
Homicide. Based on what evidence?
Based on the sheer number and nature of the wounds, the blood evidence in the car suggesting a struggle, finding a second blood type at the scene that wasn't Luna's.
A second blood type? That's huge.
And a partial fingerprint, also not Luna's. Plus, they had grainy gas station footage near the turnpike exit that seemed to show Luna possibly with another man.
So local investigators were convinced it was murder.
Seemed clear-cut to them. But then...
Let me guess. The FBI got involved. The FBI took over the investigation. And for reasons that have never been fully explained...
They ruled it.
They quickly declared Luna's death a suicide.
Suicide.
Yeah.
Overruling the local homicide finding, the second blood type, the fingerprint.
Completely.
Yeah.
Just suicide. Case closed, more or less, from their perspective.
What was their reasoning? How did they explain away the evidence?
Their main points were a supposed lack of defensive wounds on Luna.
Which could easily happen in a surprise attack or a confined space. Right?
Absolutely. And they called the many shallow stab wounds hesitation marks.
Hesitation marks. Over 30 times with a pocket knife before drowning yourself. That seems like a stretch. Couldn't those just as easily be from a struggle?
That's what many people argue. The FBI suggested he killed himself out of guilt over potentially stealing that $36,000 from the earlier case.
But the method, it just doesn't fit typical suicide patterns. Why drive 100 miles? Why withdraw $200 right before? Why stab yourself over 30 times in such a painful way, then drown?
None of it really adds up logically if you lean toward suicide. It seems incredibly complex and violent for a self-inflicted death.
Especially compared to other, quicker methods someone in despair might choose. So what's happened since? Did the family accept the FBI's ruling?
No, the family and many others have always contested it, and it gets more interesting. In 2020, a newspaper sued to get the coroner's records unsealed.
To see the original findings.
Exactly. But in 2021, the judge refused.
On what grounds?
Get this. The judge stated that releasing the records would substantially hinder or jeopardize the open, active, and ongoing criminal investigation into the death of Jonathan Luna.
Wait, an open, active, and ongoing criminal investigation.
That's what the judge said in 2021.
But the FBI declared it suicide years ago. How can there be an ongoing criminal investigation into a death ruled a suicide?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? The judge's statement seems to directly contradict the FBI's official conclusion. It strongly implies that, behind the scenes, someone still considers this a potential homicide.
Which makes you ask, what exactly is the FBI trying to hide here? Why the insistence on the suicide narrative when even a judge acknowledges an ongoing criminal probe?
It leaves a huge cloud of doubt and suspicion hanging over the entire case.
It really does. The lack of transparency is deeply troubling.
So there you have it. 3 incredibly depth dives today. A bizarre story of betrayal solved with YouTube makeup skills.
A baffling, vanishing act that defies all logical explanation.
And a mysterious death clouded by conflicting official stories and unanswered questions.
These cases, solved or unsolved, really do highlight the strangest twists of human behavior, don't they? And the real limits of trying to find concrete truth sometimes.
They remind us that even when you have lots of details, you can still be left wondering why or how.
Absolutely. That grappling with the unknown is part of what makes these stories stick with us.
So what does this all mean for you, listening? Maybe the most compelling part is just thinking about these questions, letting them challenge what you think you know.
Keep questioning, keep exploring.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep your curiosity sharp.